Good evening, one and all. We welcome you all to the international webinar series on holistic health, well-being, and sustainable development 2025, commemorating Azadi Ka Amrit Mahotsav, nation celebrating 77 years of independence, and United Nations Sustainable Development Goals 2015 to 2030 as part of awareness and campaigns in collaboration with Sri Holistic Health Foundation, India, and Sri Research Institute Center for Art, Sciences, and Wellbeing. This week we are commemorating World Breastfeeding Week from 1st August till 10th August 2025 as part of awareness and campaigns. So before we start our sessions, let's take the blessings of Almighty.
कुरुत्वं कल्याणम् आरोग्यं धनसम्पदः शुभं कुरुत्वं कल्याणम् आरोग्यं धनसम्पदः शत्रुबुद्धिविनाशाय दीपज्योतिर्नमोऽस्तुते दीपज्योतिर्नमोऽस्तुते शुभं कुरुत्वं कल्याणम् आरोग्यं धनसम्पदः शुभं कुरुत्वं कल्याणम् आरोग्यं धनसम्पदः
So with the blessings of Almighty, we shall continue with today's commemorations. Today, we are commemorating and celebrating second day of International Conference on World Breastfeeding Week, breastfeeding, diet and nutrition, parenting, education, health and well-being, environment and sustainable development 2025, and also World Breastfeeding Week 2025, second day of the week. So today we'll be looking at various aspects of breastfeeding, especially the campaign, Healthy Beginnings and Hopeful Futures campaign under the WHO's banner, which is ongoing campaign. Which was also the theme for the World Health Day 2025, which was commemorated on 7th April 2025. This year-long campaign on maternal and newborn health. This year, the campaign's title, Healthy Beginnings and Hopeful Futures, will urge governments and the health community to ramp up efforts to end preventable material and newborn deaths and to prioritize women's longer-term health and well-being. World Health Organization and partners will also share useful information to support healthy pregnancies and births and better postnatal health. The health of mothers and babies is the foundation of healthy families and communities, helping ensure hopeful futures for us all. So helping every woman and baby survive and thrive, this task is critical. Tragically, based on currently published estimates, 2,60,000 women lose their lives due to pregnancy or childbirth each year, while other 2 billion babies died in their first month of life, and around 2 million more are stillborn. That's roughly one preventable death every 7 seconds. Based on current trends, a staggering 4 out of 5 countries are off track to meet targets for improving maternal survival by 2030. 1 in 3 will fail to meet targets for reducing newborn deaths. The health of mothers and babies is the foundation of healthy families and communities and helping ensure hopeful futures for us all. Listening to women and supporting families, women and families everywhere need high quality care that supports them physically and emotionally before, during, and after birth. Health systems must evolve to manage the many health issues that impact maternal newborn health. These not only include their direct obstetric complications, but also mental health conditions, non communicable diseases, and family planning. So let's look at the basic information about breastfeeding. Breastfeeding is one of the most effective ways to ensure child health and survival. However, contrary to World Health Organization recommendations, fewer than half of the infants under 6 months old are exclusively breastfed. So, breast milk is the ideal food for infants. It is safe, clean, and contains antibodies which help protect against many common childhood illnesses. Breast milk provides all the energy and nutrients that the infant needs for the first months of life, and it continues to provide up to half or more of child's nutrition needs during the second half of the first year and up to one third during second year of life. So breastfed children perform better on intelligence tests, are less likely to be overweight or obese, and less prone to diabetes later in life. So women who breastfeed also have a reduced risk of breast and ovarian cancers. Inappropriate marketing of breast milk substitutes continues to undermine efforts to improve breastfeeding rates and duration worldwide. So every infant and child has the right to good nutrition according to the convention of the rights of the child. And that's why it is very important for all of us to understand that we cannot deprive the rights of the child by depriving the breastfeeding. Undernutrition is associated with 45% of the child's death. So globally, in 2022, 149 million children under 5 were estimated to be stunted, that is too short for age, and 45 million were estimated to be wasted, that is too thin for height, and 37 millions were overweight or obese. About 44% of infants 0 to 6 months old are exclusively breastfed. Few children receive nutritionally adequate and safe uh, complementary foods. In many countries, less than a fourth of infants 6 to 23 months of age meet the criteria of dietary diversity and feeding frequency that are appropriate for their age. Over 8,20,000 children's lives could be saved every year among children under 5 years, and it's all children 0 to 23 months were optimally breastfed. Breastfeeding improves IQ, school attendance, and is associated with higher income in adult life. Improving child development and reducing health costs through breastfeeding results in economic gains for individual families as well as at the national level. So, undernutrition is estimated to be associated with 2.7 million child deaths annually, or 45% of all child deaths. Infant and young child feeding is a key area to improve child survival and promote healthy growth and development. The first 2 years of child's life are particularly important as optimal nutrition during this period lowers morbidity and mortality, reduces the risk of chronic disease, and fosters better development overall. Optimal breastfeeding is so crucial that it could save the lives of over 8,20,000 children under the age of 5 years each year. World Health Organization and UNICEF recommend early initiation of breastfeeding within 1 hour of birth, exclusive breastfeeding for the first 6 months of life, and introduction of nutritionally adequate and safe complementary solid foods at 6 months together with continued breastfeeding up to 2 years of age or beyond. However, many infants and children do not receive optimal feeding. For example, only about 44% of infants aged 0 to 6 months worldwide were exclusively breastfed over the period of 2015 to 2020. So, recommendations have been refined to also address the needs for infants born to HIV infected mothers. Antiretroviral drugs now allow these children to actually breastfeed until they are 6 months old and continue breastfeeding until at least 12 months of age with a significantly reduced risk of HIV transmission. Exclusive breastfeeding for 6 months have many benefits for the infant and mother. Chief among these is protection against gastrointestinal infections, which is observed not only in developing but also industrialized countries. Early initiation of breastfeeding within 1 hour of birth protects the newborn from acquiring infections and reduces newborn mortality. The risk of mortality due to diarrhea and other infections can increase in infants who are either partially breastfed or not breastfed at all. So, breast milk is also an important source of energy and nutrients in children aged 6 to 23 months. It can provide half or more of a child's energy needs between the ages of 6 and 12 months, and one third of energy needs between 12 and 24 months. Breast milk is also a critical source of energy and nutrients during illness and reduces mortality among children who are malnourished. Children are and adolescents who were breastfed as babies are less likely to be overweight or obese. Additionally, they perform better on intelligence tests and have higher school attendance. Breastfeeding is associated with higher income in adult life, improving child development, and reducing health costs results in economic gains for individual families as well as the national level. At the national level. So, longer durations of breastfeeding also contribute to the health and well being of mothers. It reduces the risk of ovarian and breast cancer and helps space pregnancies. Exclusive breastfeeding of babies under 6 months has a hormonal effect, which often induces a lack of menstruation. This is natural, though not fail-safe method of birth control, known as the lactation amenorrhea method. Mothers and families need to be supported for their children to be optimally breastfed. Actions that help protect, promote, and support breastfeeding include adoption of policies such as International Labour Organization's Maternity Protection Convention 183 and recommendations number 191, which complements Convention number 183 by suggesting a longer duration of leave and higher benefits. Adoption of the International Code of Marketing of Breast Milk Substitutes and subsequent relevant World Health Assembly resolutions. Implement of the 10 steps of successful breastfeeding specified in the Baby Friendly Hospital Initiative, including skin to skin contact between mother and baby immediately after birth and initiation of breastfeeding within the first hour of life. Breastfeeding on demand that is, as often as the child wants, day and night, rooming in, allowing mothers and infants to remain together 24 hours a day, not giving babies additional food or drink, even water, unless medically necessary. Provision of supportive health services with infant and young child feeding counseling during all contacts with caregivers and young children, such as during antenatal and postnatal care. So, well child and sick child visits and immunization and community support, including mother support groups and community based health promotion and educational activities. So, breastfeeding practices are highly responsive to supportive interventions, and the prevalence of exclusive and continued breastfeeding can be improved over the course of a few years. Around the age of 6 months, an infant's need for energy and nutrients start to exceed what is produced by the breast milk, and complementary foods are necessary to meet those needs. An infant of this age is also developmentally ready for other foods. If complementary foods are not introduced at the age of 6 months, or if they are given inappropriately, an infant's growth may falter. So, guiding principles for appropriate complementary feeding include continue frequent on demand breastfeeding until 2 years of age or beyond. Practice responsive feeding, for example, feed infants directly and assist older children. Feed slowly and patiently, encourage them to eat, but do not force them. Talk to the child and maintain eye contact. Practice good hygiene and proper food handling. Start at 6 months with small amounts of food and increase gradually as the child gets older. Gradually increase food consistency and variety. Increase the number of times that the child is fed, 2 to 3 meals per day for infants 6 to 8 months of age, and 3 to 4 meals per day for infants 9 to 23 months of age, with 1 to 2 additional snacks as required. Use fortified complementary foods or vitamin mineral supplements as needed, and during illness, increase fluid intake, including more breastfeeding and other soft favorite foods. Feeding in exceptionally difficult circumstances requires social attention and practical support. Wherever possible, mothers and babies should remain together and get the support they need to exercise the most appropriate feeding option available. Breastfeeding remains the preferred mode of infant feeding in almost all difficult situations. For instance, low birth weight or premature infants, mothers living with HIV in settings where mortality due to diarrhea, pneumonia, and malnutrition remain prevalent, adolescent mothers, infant and young children who are malnourished, and families suffering the consequences of complex emergencies. Breastfeeding, and especially early and exclusive breastfeeding, is one of the most significant ways to improve her health. World Health Organization now recommends that all people living with HIV, including pregnant women and lactating mothers having with HIV, take ART for life from when they first learn their infection status. So mothers living in settings where morbidity mothers living in settings where morbidity and mortality due to diarrhea, pneumonia, and malnutrition are prevalent, and National Health authorities endorse breastfeeding should exclusively breastfeed their babies for 6 months, then introduce appropriate complementary foods and continue breastfeeding up to at least the child's first birthday and if till 2 years. So World Health Organization is committed to supporting countries with implementation and monitoring of comprehensive implementation plan on maternal, infant, and young child nutrition, endorsed by member states in May 2012. The plan includes 6 targets, one of which is to increase by 2025 the rate of exclusive breastfeeding for the first 6 months up to at least 50%. UNICEF and World Health Organization created the Global Breastfeeding Collective to rally potential political, legal, financial, and public support for breastfeeding. The collective brings together implementers and donors from governments, philanthropists, international organizations, and civil society. The collective's vision is a world in which all mothers have the technical, financial, emotional, and public support they need to breastfeed. World Health Organization has formed the network for global monitoring and support for implementation of the International Code of Marketing of Breast Milk Substitutes and subsequent relevant World Health Assembly resolutions, also known as the NetCode. The goal of NetCode is to protect and promote breastfeeding by ensuring that breast milk substitutes are not marketed inappropriately. Specifically, NetCode is building the capacity of member states and civil society to strengthen national code legislation, continuously monitor, adhere to the code, and take action to stop all violations. So if anyone is interested to make presentations, you can share your details in the chat box so that we can invite you. Otherwise, we'll continue to the next session in a minute. malnutrition is also one of the major cause because of lack of breastfeeding. So malnutrition in all its forms includes undernutrition, is wasting, stunting, underweight, inadequate vitamins or minerals, overweight, obesity, and resulting diet-related non-communicable diseases. So malnutrition is not just eating; it is eating the right kind of food. It is eating the healthy food. It is eating the nutritional food. It is eating the nutritional food at adequate times in adequate quantity. There is quality and also quantity at right time in right way. We see people are eating whole day, but all the junk food that doesn't constitute to healthy diets. That's where malnutrition comes in. Or we are very selective in eating particular foods, which doesn't provide us essential nutrients. So that is why it is very much required to take balanced food, a mix of cereals, pulses, legumes, and rice, wheat, and leafy vegetables, root vegetables, and if dairy products are permitted, you can have dairy products, and so on. So you need to have a complete balanced diet, which provides you all the essential nutrients, vitamins, minerals, and everything that is required by the human body. So in 2022, as we have seen already few facts, the 2.5 billion adults were overweight, including 890 million who were living with obesity, while 390 million were underweight. We have seen even there is a campaign that runs that every day, giving an egg in schools also. An interesting study has findings that even in spite of consuming non-vegetarian or eggs daily, still they are malnutrition. There is malnutrition is widely prevalent, even those who are consuming meat and meat products and dairy products. Why this is happening? Because of only eating meat products and completely neglecting the other products. So this is not right kind of diet. And eating meat or promoting meat products or dairy products has a lot of impact on environment. That also we will come for discussion in detail at a later point. But now let's focus on breast milk exclusively with relevance to malnutrition. So globally, in 2022, 149 million children under 5 were estimated to be stunted, as we have seen too short for age, and 45 million were estimated to be wasted, that is too thin for height, and 37 million were overweight or living with obesity. So nearly half of the deaths among children under 5 years of age are linked to undernutrition. So these mostly occur in low and middle income countries. The developmental, economic, social, and medical impacts of the global burden of malnutrition are serious and lasting for individuals and their families, so for communities and also for countries. So the developmental, economic, social, and medical impacts of global burden of malnutrition are serious and lasting for individuals. So how to prevent this? Now, malnutrition, as already discussed, refers to deficiencies or excess or imbalances in a person's intake of energy and or nutrients. So the term malnutrition addresses three broad group of conditions. First is undernutrition, which includes wasting, that is low weight for height, stunting, low height for age, and underweight, that is low weight for age. And other group group of conditions is micronutrient-related malnutrition, which includes micronutrient deficiency, that is lack of important vitamins and minerals, or micronutrient excess. And overweight, third group, falls into overweight, obesity, and diet-related non-communicable diseases, such as heart disease, stroke, diabetes, and some cancers. So see, because of lack of breastfeeding and also lack of consumption of healthy foods, nowadays every family has these. These are also known as lifestyle diseases and disorders. Because of lifestyle, we are getting these diseases and disorders. Just simply change your lifestyle, keep away from all these diseases and disorders. Now, the simple remedy which is with us, but we are not following the simple remedy. That's why we are inviting lifelong challenges, lifelong disorders and diseases. So we need to focus on the lifestyle and the diet we are consuming. As we have seen various forms of malnutrition, especially the three broad forms of malnutrition, let's get into a little detail for these three forms of malnutrition. Undernutrition. Under this, there are four broad subforms of undernutrition, like fasting, stunting, underweight, and deficiencies in vitamins and minerals. Undernutrition makes children in particular much more vulnerable to disease and death. Low weight for height is known as wasting. It usually indicates recent and severe weight loss because a person has not had enough food to eat and or they have had an infectious disease such as diarrhea, which had caused them to lose weight. A young child who is moderately or severely wasted has an increased risk of death, but treatment is possible. Low height for age is known as stunting. It is the result of chronic or recurrent undernutrition, usually associated with poor socioeconomic conditions, poor maternal health and nutrition, frequent illness, and or inappropriate infant and young child feeding and care in the early life. Stunting holds children back from reaching their physical and cognitive potential. Children with low weight for age are known as underweight. A child who is underweight may be stunted, wasted, or both. So, micronutrient malnutrition. This is another subtype. Inadequacies in intake of vitamins and minerals, often referred to as micronutrients, can also be grouped together. Micronutrients enable the body to produce enzymes, hormones, and other substances that are essential for proper growth and development. As we see, the growth or development in the child is very rapid and fast in the first 5 years. That has impact on the next 50 years of health. So, iodine, vitamin A, and iron are the most important in global public health terms. Their deficiency represents a major threat to the health and development of populations worldwide, particularly children and pregnant women in low-income countries. Overnight and obesity is when a person is too heavy for his or her height. Abnormal or excessive fat accumulation can impair health. Body mass index, BMI, is an index of weight for height, commonly used to classify overweight and obesity. It is defined as a person's weight in kilograms divided by the square of his or her height in meters, that is kilograms per meter square. In adults, overweight is defined as BMI of 25 or more, whereas obesity is a BMI of 30 or more. Among children and adolescents, BMI thresholds for overweight and obesity vary by age. Overweight and obesity result from an imbalance between energy consumed too much and energy expended too little. Globally, people are consuming foods and drinks that are more energy dense, high in sugars and fats, and engaging in less physical activity. Diet-related non-communicable diseases, in short known as NCDs, include cardiovascular disease such as heart attacks and stroke, and often linked with high blood pressure, certain cancers and diabetes. Unhealthy diets and poor nutrition are among the top risk factors for these diseases globally. In 2022, approximately 390 million adults aged 18 years and older worldwide were underweight, while 2.5 billion were overweight, including 890 million who were living with obesity. Among children and adolescents aged 5 to 19 years, 390 million were overweight, including 160 million who were living with obesity. Another 190 million were living with thinness. BMI for age more than 2 standard deviations below the reference median. In 2022, an estimated 149 million children under the age of 5 years were suffering from stunting, while 37 million were living with overweight or obesity. Nearly half of the deaths among children under 5 years of age are linked to undernutrition. These mostly occur in low and middle income countries. Every country in the world is affected by one or more forms of malnutrition. Combating malnutrition in all its forms is one of the greatest global health challenges. Women, infants, children, and adolescents are at particular risk of malnutrition. Optimizing nutrition early in life, including the 1,000 days from conception to a child's second birthday, ensures the best possible start in life with long-term benefits. So poverty amplifies the risk of and risks from malnutrition. People who are poor are more likely to be affected by different forms of malnutrition. Also, malnutrition increases healthcare costs, reduces productivity, and slows economic growth, which can perpetuate a cycle of poverty and ill health. So, the United Nations Decade of Action on Nutrition on April 1st, 2016, the United Nations General Assembly proclaimed 2016 to 2025 the United Nations Decade of Action in Nutrition. The decade is an unprecedented opportunity for addressing all forms of malnutrition. It sets a concrete timeline for implementation of the commitments made at the Second International Conference on Nutrition, ICN2, to meet a set of global nutrition targets and diet-related NCD targets by 2025, as well as relevant targets in the agenda for sustainable development. By 2030, in particular, Sustainable Development Goal SDG 2 end hunger, achieve food security, and improve nutrition and promote sustainable agriculture. The SDG 3 ensure healthy lives and promotes well-being for all at all ages. Led by World Health Organization and the Food and Agriculture Organization of the United Nations, FAO, the UN Decade of Action on Nutrition calls for policy action across 6 key areas. So, creating sustainable, resilient food systems for healthy diets, providing social protection and nutrition-related education for all, aligning health systems to nutritional needs and providing universal coverage of essential nutrition interventions, ensuring that trade and investment policies improve nutrition, building safe and supportive environments for nutrition at all ages, and strengthening and promoting nutrition governance and accountability every day. World Health Organization aims for a world free of all forms of malnutrition, where all people achieve health and well-being. According to the 2016 and 2025 nutrition strategy, World Health Organization works with member states and partners towards universal access to effective nutritional interventions and to help set up, align and advocate for priorities and policies that move nutrition forward and globally. develops evidence-informed guidance based on robust scientific and ethical frameworks, supports the adoption of guidance and implementation of effective nutrition actions, and monitors and evaluate policy and program implementation and nutrition outcomes. This work is framed by the Comprehensive Implementation Plan on Maternal, Infant, and Young Children Nutrition, adopted by member states through a World Health Assembly resolution in 2012. Actions to end malnutrition are also vital for achieving the diet-related targets of the Global Action Plan for the Prevention and Control of Non-Communicable Diseases 2013 to 2020. So the Global Strategy for Women's, Children's and Adolescents' Health 2016 to 2030 and the 2030 Agenda for Sustainable Development. So as of now, if you have any queries, you are welcome to share, or if you have any observations or any questions, you can use chat box so that we can take it up before moving to next topic. Okay, if no one has any queries, then we'll move on to next section. Now, there are different organizations that are working towards promotion of breastfeeding and protecting the practices and traditions against all kinds of arts. One such organization at international level is IFAN, which is Internationally Baby Food Action Network. The International Baby Food Action Network, in short known as IFAN, is an international coalition aiming to improve maternal and infant and young child health through protection, support, and promotion of breastfeeding and optimal complementary feeding. It was formed by a small group of organizations and activists concerned about the high mortality of formula-fed babies who come together in 1979 at the end of World Health Organization UNICEF joint meeting on infant and young child feeding. The meeting had recommended an international code to regulate the marketing of infant formula, bottles, and teats and other products marketed as breast milk substitutes. So the core areas or core focus areas include international code alimentarius, contaminants in baby foods, health and environmental impacts, infant feeding in emergencies, and WBTI. IFAN is made up of public interest groups and individuals working worldwide to reduce maternal, infant, and young child morbidity and mortality. The network strives for the universal and full implementation of the international code and resolutions aiming to improve the health and well-being of infants and young children and their mothers and their families. The founding group consisted of 6 NGOs. More than 40 years later, IPFAN has grown into a coalition of almost 300 citizen groups in 168 developing and industrialized nations. It is the oldest single-issue network in the world. Breast milk is most universally available and complete food source and resource. However, it has been under attack for at least 60 years by commercial interests. In 2018, the World Health Organization estimated that 8,20,000 children lives could be saved every year among children under 5 years if all children 0 to 23 months were optimally breastfed. So IPFAN brings together non-governmental organizations which are addressing infant feeding and health and unites these organizations based on a common aim: improving breastfeeding rates, reducing dependence on industrial and artificial milk products, and protecting women and families. Freedom of choice based on full and unbiased information and support free from commercial influences. So as already discussed, the focus areas include code monitoring, look what they are still doing, which is a summary report on the monitoring of the digital marketing of products that interfere on breastfeeding. The main objective of this work was to document in an updated, fast, and global way the presence of the internet of various forms of commercial promotions of products that interfere with the practice of breastfeeding and that are prohibited by the International Code of Marketing of Breast Milk Substitutes. To this end, IPFAN members from different regions of the world carried out a quick and simultaneous monitoring in 1 month of these unethical promotional practices, covering the period from 13th December 2024 to January 12th, 2025. So from their computers to mobile devices, members search for violations online in the following product categories: commercial infant formula up to 6 months, commercial infant formula from 6 months to 1 year, commercial infant formula with special needs, bottles, teats, complementary tools, and so on. Upon finding a violation, a screenshot was taken for evidence and the record was entered into the Google form developed by the IPFAN Brazil, available in 4 languages: Portuguese, Spanish, English, and French. So upon finding a violation, a screenshot was taken for evidence and the record was entered into Google form developed by IPFAN Brazil, available in 4 languages. As already mentioned, Portuguese, Spanish, English, and French. So we earlier mentioned about Codex Alimentarius, one of the focus group. So what is Codex Alimentarius and why does IPFAN attend. So Codex is a joint United Nations body created in 1963 by the World Health Organization WHO and the FAO to develop food standards, guidelines, and codes of. So IFAN has been attending Codex meetings since 1995 when the World Trade Organization, WTO, was established and was mandated to refer to the Codex standards in trade disputes. Overall, Codex has had a damaging influence on the protection of breastfeeding and child health. The lack of transparency and poor conflict of interest. The lack of transparency and poor conflict of interest safeguards, coupled with dominance of food corporations and powerful exporting nations, has led to Codex adapting weak standards for many harmful foods and commodities. These standards have been regularly used in attempts to stop governments bringing in strong marketing controls with interventions made at the WTO concerning commercial milk formula, marketing labeling, or safely testing regulations of another member state, or wrongly treating codex standards, or as a regulatory calling for trade purposes. In fact, governments have a sovereign right to adopt any legislation they consider necessary to protect child health as long as it does not violate international trade principles. To the 44th Codex Nutritional Committee in October 2024 tested a new draft prioritizing system where Codex members and observers were asked to assess and score the impact new So here we will stop, take a break from breastfeeding, and we'll continue with daily commemorations. Then we'll come back, and those who are willing to make presentations can share your details in the chat box as per the format available. So today is also commemorated as National Cat Day on August 2nd, which celebrates everything that is computer-aided design has made possible. It helps designer begin tools using a computer. CAD offers much more versatility. The manual drafting of designs, it sure takes more time to make design on the computer, but the design process becomes smoother and easier, and there is less room for error with CAD software. Additionally, it can be modified, stored, transported easily anywhere. Infrastructure and technological development required thorough planning. No matter where the development is needed, it might be a small change or a large innovation, but it all needs plan to work it out. We have first visualize our current status. Today is also commemorated as National Coloring Book Day in US. Coloring books have gotten some serious grown-up attention lately as children enjoy a lot. So National Coloring Book Day. Today is also commemorated as Coloring Books Day, National Coloring Book Day, which have got some serious grown-up attention. Lately, on August 2nd, helps us relive our childhood playdates and discover new health and wellness benefits now that coloring is no longer just for kids. In fact, adult coloring books seem to be the last wellness and relation trend that helps people find happiness between the lines. Researchers and art therapists have lauded the benefits of coloring for over a decade, but only recently did publishers and child favorite brands like Crayola start producing adult book coloring books, or maybe purple or blue or even rainbow. Well, now it's your choice to break out these coloring books and indulge in some colorful fun. Today is also commemorated as National Disc Golf Day. It's fun and it is growing more popular every day. It is a disc golf day on August 2nd, celebrated on the first Saturday of August each year. This day honors the sport of disc golf. Like golf, but not entirely, this sport uses the same general rules and etiquette, but requires a disc to play. Turns out even the world recognizes the fun in the game not only has its fame grown by leaps and bounds in India, but also the fastest growing sport in the world. Today is also commemorated as Republic Day in North Macedonia, which is observed on August 2nd every year, commemorates the Linden Uprising and the first assembly of FESNOM during World War II. It also celebrates the traditional festival of Linden. Republic Day, or the Day of Republic, commemorates the Linden Uprising against the Ottoman Empire and the first assembly of the Anti-Fascist Assembly for the National Liberation of Macedonia, as known, and led to the establishment of the Republic of Macedonia. The Linden Uprising was a revolt against the Ottoman Empire, which controlled a vast region in the Eastern Europe, organized by the internal Macedonian Adrian Pole Revolutionary Organization and supported by the Supreme Macedonian Adrianople Committee. The reason for the revolt was gaining complete autonomy over decision making. It was supported by the local Bulgarian Armenian populations. The people thought that the revolution would be successful as the Ottoman Empire had been crumbling for decades. At this point, however, while the uprising was successful, at first the overwhelming response of the Ottomans crushed it. A decade later, the Balkan Wars of 1912 and 1930 divided northern Macedonia between Serbia, Bulgaria, and Greece, with Serbia taking the largest portion. All hope seemed to be lost, yet the Anti-Fascist Assembly for Liberation of Macedonia met clandestinely during World War II, keeping alive the hope for independence. A few decades later, North Macedonia was incorporated into Yugoslavia, a socialist country that was created in the aftermath of World War II. In Central Eastern Europe, Yugoslavia comprised 6 socialist republics, including Macedonia. By the 1990s, Yugoslavia had started breaking up, and soon after, on September 8, 1991, the Republic of Macedonia came into existence. Today is also commemorated as Sandcastle Day, which is observed on the first Saturday in August every year. It falls on August 2nd. This year, it was created to remind us of the pleasure that a bit of sand, water, and sunlight can provide us in the summertime. Everyone's childhood sandcastle experience should be treasured for the rest of their lives. Sandcastle Day is an excellent opportunity to take a few hours out of your day to recall how much fun it can be to build sandcastles at the beach with your children. Today is also commemorated as Tishba, which is an annual fast day in Judaism. It is also known as one of the most tragic days in Jewish history, since it saw a number of disasters that affected Jews for years to come. The day of mourning takes place to mark the destruction of Solomon's temple by the Neo-Babylonian Empire and the second temple by Roman Empire in Jerusalem. AV 9, that is day 9, is also the time that saw the fall of Bethel and at the end of Jewish rebellion against Rome. Tisha B'Av has a catastrophic history that is still remembered by Jews across the world. This is why the day of mourning is observed religiously every year, apart from fasting and praying. Tisha B'Av also serves the purpose of recalling the sufferings the Jewish people went through to obtain status they have in this world today. It all started with Jews were waiting to find way into the promised land. Alas, they received no hope of the beginning. Their lives in Israel, this was followed for the first blow to the Jewish faith when the first temple was destroyed by the Babylonians. During the invasion, almost 1 lakh Jews were killed and the survivors were exiled. Around 133 AD, the Romans built the city of Aelia Capitonia on the sacred site. So we will take a break here and we will invite any suggestions or queries, questions, if any, on this You are welcome. To share in chat box. So if there are no further queries, so we can move on to the next section, next presentation. If anyone would like to share their observations or experiences or would like to make any presentations, feel free to share in chat box so that we can invite you. Okay, so we'll move on to the medical aspects of, the breastfeeding, that is the health of the breast. As there are a lot of myths associated, so we will also try to do some myth busting by creating awareness on breast health, and we will look at various aspects of physiology, anatomy, and other aspects of breast. So the breast anatomy of males and females is slightly different. Female breasts have milk ducts and glandular tissue that aid breastfeeding. Male and female breast nipples have many nerves that enhance sexual arousal. All sexes can get breast cancer, and females are more prone to benign, non-cancerous breast disease. Now, what are breasts? Breasts are part of female and male sexual anatomy. For females, breasts are both functional for breastfeeding and sexual bringing pleasure. For males, there isn't a physiological function. However, their breasts can still provide sexual pleasure. The visible parts of your breast anatomy include your nipples and areolas. Most people are born with two breasts, and there are several kinds of tissues form the female breast. So muscles connect your breast to the ribs. The three different ribs or type of breasts include glandular, also called the lobules. Glandular tissues produces milk for lactation. Connective or fibrous, this tissue holds glandular and fatty breast tissues in place, and fatty, this tissues fills in the areas between glandular and connective tissue and determines your breast size. And males have gynecomastia, glandular tissue and fatty tissue. Their glandular tissue contains underdeveloped milk ducts. So let's look at the anatomy of the breast. There are different parts of female breast anatomy, including adipose tissue. Female breast is mainly made up of fatty tissue, that is adipose tissue. It extends from your collarbone to your armpit and across your rib cage. Lobes, each breast has between 15 to 20 lobes or sections. These lobes surround your nipple like spokes on a wheel. Glandular tissue or lobules, these small sections of tissue found inside lobes have tiny bulb-like glands at the end of that produce milk. Milk or mammary ducts, these small tubes or ducts carry milk from glandular tissue, that is lobules, to your nipples. Nipples, the nipple is the center of your areola. Each nipple has about 9 milk ducts as well as hundreds of nerves. Areola or areolae is the circular darker colored area of your skin surrounding your nipple. Areolae have glands called Montgomery's glands that secrete a lubricating oil. This oil protects your nipple and skin from chafing during the breastfeeding. So blood vessels circulate blood throughout your breast, chest, and body. Lymph vessels, part of your lymphatic system. These vessels transport lymph, a fluid that helps your body's immune system fight infection. And lymph vessels connect to lymph nodes, which are found under your armpits, in your chest, and in other places. Lymph nodes, small organs that help fight infection. Nerves, nipples have hundreds of nerve endings, which makes them extremely sensitive to touch. Now, as we are seeing the differences as well from male and female breast perspective, male breasts too, males also have breasts too. During puberty, the hormone testosterone usually stops breast from developing. On the outside, there are nipples and areolae. Internally, they have underdeveloped milk ducts and no glandular tissue. Male breast problems can include gynecomastia, that is enlarged breast, like females, a benign condition that causes the breast to enlarge, and very rarely, breast cancer. Female hormones, namely estrogen, progesterone, and prolactin, play a key role in breast milk development and function. The main role of the breast is to produce breast milk. So estrogen stretches milk ducts and help them create side branches to carry more milk. Prolactin promotes the production of progesterone and prepare glands for milk production. Progesterone increases the number and size of lobules in preparation for breastfeeding. This hormone also enlarges blood vessels and breast cells after ovulation. Oxytocin helps release or eject breast milk. Breast cancer is the number one threat to breast health. Approximately 1 in 13 females will receive a breast cancer diagnosis in their lifetime. Other conditions that affect the breast health include benign, non-cancerous breast disease, breast cysts, breast lumps, breast pain, mastalgia, breast rash, fibrocystic breast changes, non-cancerous lumps and tenderness, mammary duct ectasia, that is swollen milk ducts, mastitis, that is breast infection, nipple discharge. So we'll not get into detail of this at this point, but we will also look at it some other day. So now there are different kinds of breast conditions like dense breasts. Your mammogram report may note that you have dense breasts. Dense breasts have more glandular and fibrous tissue and less fatty tissue. Dense breast tissue and tumors both look white on mammograms, making it more difficult to detect breast cancer. Up to half of females between ages to 40 and 74 have dense breasts. The condition isn't related to breast size, look, or feel. If you have very dense breasts, you have a slightly higher risk of breast cancer. So you can contact your healthcare provider about your risk for breast cancer based on your breast density and other tests. As breast cancer is a top concern, talk to healthcare provider about when and how often to get mammograms. Recommendations vary depending on risk factors such as family or personal health history. Breast self-exams can help you get familiar with how your breasts look and feel, so you are more likely to notice changes in your breasts. Ideally, it is recommended at least once in a year to perform mammograms, or ideally every 6 months, based on the factors. Breast self-exam can be done every week by yourself at your comfort of your homes. Your nipples contain hundreds of nerve endings. Generally, a female breast is more sensitive to stimulation due to hormones. However, males can also experience pleasure from the nerve endings in their nipples. That's why breastfeeding is very much essential to produce milk continuously, breast milk continuously. Otherwise, if a nursing mother doesn't breastfeed her baby, so slowly the milk production will also stop. So gradually the breast milk decreases, and completely over a period of time, there is no production of breast milk. That's why breast milk feeding is also essential to promote production of breast milk. So when you should call your healthcare provider or see your healthcare provider? Newly discovered lump in your breast, nipple discharge, breast pain, changes in the way your breast or skin looks or feels, nipple that suddenly turns inward, so also known as inverted nipple, and breast rash. If anyone in your biological family has received a breast cancer or ovarian cancer diagnosis before age of 50, talk to healthcare provider about genetic testing or earlier mammogram screenings. Female breast can produce milk for breastfeeding and serve as an erogenous pleasure zone. Males also have breasts, but they don't serve the same purpose. The tissues in your breast can become cancerous. Regular mammograms or breast screenings can help detect cancer early when it's more treatable. So call your healthcare provider anytime if you notice a change in the way your breasts look or feel. So doing a breast self-exam at home helps you detect breast changes so that you can discuss them with a healthcare provider. Regular self-breast exams can help you maintain breast health and detect cancer early when it's easier to treat. Most lumps and abnormalities aren't cancer, but you should still share any changes with your healthcare provider. A breast self exam is a step by step method you can use to examine your breast by looking at and feeling your breast regularly. You can better notice changes in your breast or detect when something feels different. Most healthcare providers agree that while mammograms are the best screening tool to detect breast abnormalities, a breast exam you can do at home is the best way for you to be familiar with your own breasts. So, monthly breast self exams can help you detect changes that may be signs of infection, breast disease, or breast cancer. The goal of doing a breast self-exam is recognizing what's normal for you. Knowing how you treat your breast typically look and feel can help you notice a change if one were to occur. Self-exams are important for your breast health, but they should never replace breast exams from your provider and screening tests like mammograms. You should still see your primary healthcare provider and or gynecologist regularly for breast cancer screenings. Talk to your healthcare provider about performing self breast exams. They can tell you what they recommend based on your health history and show you how to perform one correctly. Most healthcare associations recommend performing a breast self exam monthly, despite it's not being a reliable way to detect breast cancer. It's still the most helpful thing you can do at home for your breast health. Research shows that many people with breast cancer say that finding a lump at home was how they first knew something was different. Knowing what's normal for your breast allows you to alert a provider as soon as you notice changes. People who are still menstruating, have a regular period, should perform a breast self exam after the period ends. People who have reached menopause and people who have very irregular periods can pick up a day each month. Choose a day that's consistent and easy to remember, like the first day of the month and the last day of the month or your favorite number. Keep a journal of your findings or make a note in your smartphone of what you see and feel. So, how do you do a self breast exam? Now, there are different ways to perform breast exam at home. Use your right hand to examine your left breast, then vice versa. Feel for any lumps, thick spots, or any changes. A circular pattern may help you make sure you hit every spot. You can do it even without mirror or looking into mirror. So looking in a mirror, take off your shirt and bra and stand in front of mirror or dressing in front of by removing your clothing and stand in front of mirror. Put your arms down by your sides. Look for any changes in the breast shape, breast swelling, dimpling in your skin, or changes in the position of your nipples. Next, raise your arms high over the head and look your arms high over your head and look for the same things. Finally, put your hands on your hips and press firmly to make your chest muscles flex. Look for the same changes again. Be sure to look at both breasts. Manual breast self exam while standing. Remove your clothing. Use your right hand to examine your left breast, then vice versa with the pads of your three middle fingers. Press on every part of the breast, one breast. Use light pressure, then medium, and then firm. Feel for any lumps, thick spots, or other changes. A circular pattern may help you make sure you hit every spot. Then press the tissue nearest to your armpit. Be sure to check under your areola, area around your nipple, and then squeeze your nipple to check for discharge. Repeat the steps on your other side. Many people perform a standing self exam while in the shower. So, manual breast self exam while lying down. When you lie down, your breast tissue spreads more evenly. This makes it a good position to feel for changes, especially if your breasts are large. Lie down, put a pillow under your right shoulder, place your right arm behind your head. Using your left hand, apply the same techniques as earlier, using the pads of your middle fingers to press all parts of your breast tissue and under your armpit. Finally, swap the pillow to the other side and check your breast, other breast and armpit. Be sure to check under your areola and then squeeze your nipple to check for discharge. Keep in mind that your breast tissue extends to your armpit, collarbone, and top of your abdomen. So your breast tissue isn't just your breast cleavage and nipples. A breast self-exam takes only a few minutes, can easily be built into your daily schedule. You can do a breast exam when you are dressing for the day or undressing at night, lying in bed in the morning or at bedtime, taking a shower. A self-exam is beneficial in helping you to become aware of the normal look and feel of your breast. But there can be issues with breast self-exams. Some of the risks of self-exams include belief that a self-exam replaces a clinic breast exam from your provider, or mammograms. A breast self-exam is an at-home tool to help you become familiar with your body. Some people falsely believe that because they perform self-breast exams, they don't need to see a healthcare provider. Anxiety that comes from thinking that you have a lump or an abnormality. Most lumps aren't cancerous, but thinking you have a cancerous lump may give you unnecessary anxiety or worry. Lumps in your breast tissues are normal and not necessarily a reason to panic. Some people have naturally lumpier breast tissue. Becoming aware of what's normal for you can be better, help you distinguish between something isn't normal. So contact a healthcare provider if you notice a lump or other changes in how your breast tissue feels, irregular or bloody discharge from your nipple, dimpling, redness or swelling of your skin, changes in direction of your nipple such as turning inward. Keep in mind that things like menstruation can affect the way your breasts look and feel. A healthcare provider can perform a breast exam to see if they believe diagnostic tests like ultrasound or mammogram are necessary. A self breast examination isn't a diagnostic tool for breast cancer. Only a trained healthcare provider can confirm if a lump you feel during a self exam is potentially harmful. Becoming aware of the signs of breast cancer can also be helpful as you get to know your breast. Some warning signs of breast cancer: inverted nipple or nipples that stop sticking out, redness, soreness, a rash or swelling on your breast, dimpling or quivering like an orange peel of the skin of your breast, irregular nipple discharge. So it's not that healthcare providers don't recommend it. It's that providers know that self-exam aren't necessarily the most effective way to detect or screen for breast cancer. But most providers will still recommend you become familiar with your breast by performing breast exams at home. This is the best way to know what's normal for you so that if a change occurs, you are able to report it to your provider. A breast self-exam shouldn't replace a mammogram or a breast cancer exam from a healthcare provider. A breast self-exam is an at-home tool you can use between annual mammograms or clinical breast exams your provider performs. It shouldn't be a substitute for mammogram. Mammogram is still the good old gold standard in detecting breast cancer. Perform a monthly breast self-exam will help you maintain breast health and detect early signs of disease. You can incorporate the steps of a breast exam into your regular routine. Such as when you get ready for bed or take a shower. With each breast self-exam, you'll become more familiar with your body. When you know what's normal for you, you'll become more aware when if changes occur. You can then discuss these changes with your healthcare provider. So we'll take a break here, and if you have any queries till now, you are free to share in chat box. So if there are none, then we'll call it for the day. We'll be joining with the same link for the third day and continue the breastfeeding week celebrations. So we request everyone to quickly fill up the feedback form which has been raised in the form of polls before leaving the platform. So see you all tomorrow at the same time with the same joining link. Take care. Good night.